Hi everyone! Before we start this episode, I wanted to make a quick parenthesis so that we can create something all together. So the subject of today's episode is the NaNoWriMo challenge, and I was thinking of creating a group where all of us could join and talk about our projects and motivate each other. So if you're interested in joining that, don't hesitate to let me know, either in the comments on YouTube or on Instagram. I will be creating this group on Instagram, so if you want to join, let me know. Hello everyone and welcome back to Emil Writing Club. Halloween is very close. And even though I'm going to enjoy this day 100%, we have to admit that it will be the end of October. And it's going to be sad. But we're going to enjoy Halloween to the fullest, because it's the best holiday ever. So we better enjoy it 100%. For those who have the video, you can see that something changed. It might be about my hair. It might be the fact that now it is black and I have never been this confident in my entire life. How to tell you that this hair color changes everything? I didn't know hair color could give you so much confidence. Anyway, that was the little parenthesis of today. I just needed to kind of talk about it because I'm so happy. For those who are new on this podcast, I try to explain at each episode. So for those who usually hear it, I'm sorry you're going to hear the same explanation. I'm trying to make it as short as possible every time so that you don't have to spend too much time listening to it. But basically, it's a writing club where all of us are together. And yes, I'm going to be the one talking. I'm going to be the one presenting. And for now, there will not be anyone invited because I don't have anyone to invite. I'm kind of like the lonely writer in her little cave. But it's still interactive, because you're more than welcome to leave some comments below, to text me on Instagram and talk to me about your projects or the questions you have or the subjects you want to talk about on this podcast. So this podcast is still interactive. You still have some power over it to give your opinion, to talk about subjects that matters to you. So there's so many possibilities. Anyway, that was the parenthesis I wanted to do before we dive into today's subject. Indeed, it's the end of October, and I'm really sad about that, definitely. But what it means is that November is starting, and we're writers out there, so we know November is the month to write. So today's subject is going to be about the NaNoWriMo challenge. For those who don't know, it is a challenge that writers tend to go through during the month of November. And during this month, you can join a community that's writing and be motivated by this in order to move your book or write an entire book. And the challenge is to write 50,000 words. I always mess up between 1,000 and hundreds, but I think it's thousands. Like it's 50,000. So 40 in total. To be honest, I have never done this challenge. This is going to be the first time for me. And I wanted this episode to be the last one of October so that you guys can kind of prepare and get on board with me so that we can do it together. Before we dive fully into the subject, I wanted to come back to the last episode I made because I had a lot of feedbacks. And again, as it's interactive, I wanted to kind of go back on what you guys said. So last episode was about writing softwares, free writing softwares, and turned out that Shakespeare, the one that I presented, is actually using what we write to feed their AI. And that's something that I didn't know. I have to be honest, I didn't do enough research on that, so this is my fault. But one of you prevented me, and I really appreciate that. I then checked online to see some sources, and it turns out that indeed they feed AI with what we write. So I would recommend not to use Shakespeare, which is kind of sad because it's kind of the one that I recommended the most. I know it fitted me so well. Shakespeare is going to be using AI. So if I were you, I would not try this one. Some of you really seemed interested in screenwriting, which to be honest, I am interested in too. So I'm thinking of making a full episode on screenwriting softwares. So if you're interested in that, don't hesitate to comment down below if you have any software that you would like me to look into and maybe recommend to others. I'm going to try to do some research to see which one could be the most useful for you guys, because I know some of you out there are writing screenplays and scripts. So it's always good to give you all those availabilities too. So there will be an episode fully on-screen writing softwares, so stay tuned for that. One of you also recommended Focuswriter. I looked online and indeed it is free, so if you're interested you can try it out. I haven't checked for AI, but I'm definitely going to do a second episode about writing softwares because there's a lot that I have to go into. But stay tuned because there will be a second episode about writing softwares for novels and poetry. I'll definitely talk about Focuswriter in the next episode as one of you noticed this one. I also had some feedbacks about Microsoft Word, Google Docs, and LibreOffice. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've always pronounced it in French, so is it like LibreOffice? I don't know. I probably sound really weird right now. I'm sorry. Those 3 ones, I didn't present them to you because I feel like there's so many features and it's not really helping me personally to focus. But if it's something that you would like me to bring up, it's definitely something that I can do an episode about more writing softwares and develop around the ones that are mostly known, because I know those are really well known, but I don't feel like it's really suiting if you want to write a novel, for example. It's just not structured enough, in my opinion. So now let's dive into the NaNoWriMo challenge. NaNoWriMo is basically National Novel Writing Month. So it is indeed our month, guys. We have to take her keyboards out. We have to take her pens out. We have to take maybe your quills out. I found some books that were written during the NaNoWriMo challenge. I'm going to talk about the one that I knew. I don't know about the others, but I knew about Cinder. I haven't read it, but apparently it was written during the NaNoWriMo challenge, which here I have no idea. Then there's The Night Circus, and finally there's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. And I know I've read their books called Carry On, and then it's Wayward Son, and I forgot the last one. Those are the books that I've read from this author, and I know that the book Fangirl is one of her first success. So never underestimate the NaNoWriMo challenge. It can really bring up great projects into life. They have a special website for NaNoWriMo challenge. When you come on it, you can join the challenge and you just need to name your book. Honestly, you can name it whatever you want because you can change it afterwards. But I think what's mostly important about this challenge is not just the fact that you're gonna maybe write a book or something. It can be a little scary to be like, okay, during this month, I have to write a whole book. Writing a book is much more than just writing words. So it can be really overwhelming, but I think the biggest part of this is that you're not on your own. There are other writers trying it, and maybe you're not going to finish a book, and it's okay as long as you move, as long as you write, as long as you work on the projects that make you happy. It reminds me of something that I've read in the book Atomic Habits. They talk about how building habits in general is so much better when you do it in a community you feel apart from. And a great example for that is one that they gave in the book is about a gym that was created for nerds. And basically it's a gym where people who loved Star Wars and loved fantasy and sci-fi, they could all join in this gym, and it was less scary than going to a normal gym where there would only be gym bros. It was so much easier to build this habit because they were surrounded by people that knew their language, that knew who they are, that connected with them. And I think it's also a big part of the NaNoWriMo challenge is that we're all writers, and we're all going to find a group of people that have the same idea, that have the same kind of projects, that have the same hobbies, that have the same interests. And that's the best place to start when you want to create a habit. And that's the best time for you to create writing habits so that you can finish your book. I haven't checked if there is any specific NaNoWriMo Discord channel. To be honest, I'm really bad with Discord, so I'm gonna have a hard time to recommend you anything, but I know that there are some groups online that you can find who do the NaNoWriMo challenge and you can join them. So this is totally a possibility for you if you're interested. Again, I cannot give you more advice around this because I think I'm starting to get old. Like, I cannot use Discord. I don't know why. I feel like it's too much information in one shot. Maybe I should try to use it somehow and understand it, but right now it's not in my list of things to do. I created my account actually this morning, and you should be able to find me. My @ is, as always, EMIL_BLE. It's going to be exactly like my Instagram, exactly like my YouTube, exactly like my Pinterest, exactly like my TikTok. When you log in, you can put a picture also. It's not like necessary, but you have your little profile. My profile should be exactly the same as my YouTube channel, so you should be able to find me there. Something that I also wanted to bring up with the NaNoWriMo challenge is something that I've heard from an interview of Leigh Bardugo. For those who know me or keep in track with this podcast, you probably know that I'm obsessed with her and her books. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are definitely part of my favorite books. But in one of her interviews, she said that it's really good to plan your book. It's really good to write your storyline. It's really good to have a plan for what you're gonna write and have the names of your characters and their entire lives drawn on paper. But she talked about the importance of throwing yourself in the writing and not staying locked in this creating process of creating the world, creating the characters, and creating the cities. Because if you stay in this process, most of the time it's because you're procrastinating the fact of writing, which can easily become scary. And if you don't start writing at any point, the book will never come out. I think what she was trying to point out was the importance of starting to write even though you don't have all the details of your book. Some details will just come with the flow. And yes, it's good to have a structure so that you don't feel lost and you know where your book is going. But the more strict you're with yourself, the less you allow yourself also to be creative during your writing. And for all those reasons, I indeed decided to join the challenge this year. And I'm honestly really excited about this because I think so much can come out of it. It's been so long that I've been planning my book. I have so many characters created. I have so many information about the map. I have so much information about the world. I have so much information about the places and everything. And I feel like the more I push back the moment where I'm gonna start, the less I give this book a chance to exist. And there's actually so many chapters that I have already an idea of what's gonna be in it, and I've never written them. When I know what information is going to be in each of them, but I haven't written any of them. And I feel like the month of November with the challenge of NaNoWriMo, I feel like it's the perfect time for me and probably for you guys too to start this book. We have to do it, or this screenplay, or this script, or this poetry book. It's something for all writers, and we should definitely start that because I generally have a pretty clear idea of what my storyline is going to be. And yes, there's so much details that I don't have, but again, it's something that I feel like I'm gonna find on the way. And I feel like even if you don't have a story idea, I would recommend you to do this. I know that some people do, so it was during the month of October, but some people do Inktober, but for writers. So you can find this online, maybe on Instagram. I could give you some examples. I'll try to share something that I found online. It's basically an idea of what you could write every day, so that you can write a little bit every day and maybe you can reach those 50,000 words. Even if you don't have a story, maybe it can be a moment to write scenes about the characters you imagined. Write just a little short passage of your book, or just a scene that you've always had in your head and you're like, I want to give life to this, and maybe it's going to start a full book. You never know. So I would really encourage you to do this. And if you plan on joining the NaNoWriMo challenge, please let me know. I would love to know who's joining, and maybe we could create actually a group of all of us who are part of the Emil Writing Club so that we can all join on this. I would be so glad to have you all together. It could also be an opportunity for you to meet each other and encourage yourself and give you advice in between each other. If you're interested, don't hesitate to contact me on Instagram or TikTok. I look at all my messages. That's not a problem. Again, my @ is EMIL_BLE. Don't hesitate to check me out, and check me out. I don't know if it's the best word. Don't hesitate to check my account and we can try this challenge together. I did some math, and I think the ideal goal for each day would be to write 1,667 words. So I would move it to 2,000 because I'm kind of a perfectionist. The more the number is full and round, the better I feel. So I'm probably going to go for 2,000 words a day. Plus the fact that if I miss a day, it's okay because I can catch back on it with all the words that I write every day. I think it's a great option if you guys are interested to do the same, but this is just like low math. You don't have to follow this. You can write so many words in one day and less on others. You do you. But again, let me know if you're going to participate in this. I would love to know who's going to join, and maybe we can support each other. And again, even if you don't have a story, try it. There are so many scenes that you could write. You can even start to write a daydreaming thing that you had. Maybe a fan fiction. A fan fiction, you already have the characters, you just have to write. It's something that you can do. So many people put shame on writing fan fictions, but so many writers started there. So do it. You want to write a scene with your favorite characters? Do it. NaNoWriMo is just about writing words and achieving this challenge. I know that it's more about writing a full book in general, but I feel like it can be useful for you in any way you want. Anyway, on this, I think we're going to end the podcast, especially because it's starting to really get dark. But I'm happy that I had time to record this episode. It was really nice and it was more chill than usual. I really enjoyed that. But again, you can contact me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, in the comments. As always, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you online.